Welcome to the In Peace We Rest podcast.
Hey,
We
everybody.
are here today and we are really excited to chat with you guys about some past life possibilities. Jasmine isn't with us today, so Jerry and I are going to have a wonderful conversation around this, and I'm really excited because we have both had some personal experiences with that. Before we get into that, though, Jerry, would you mind dropping us in so we can be
Yeah.
fully present for this conversation?
Yeah. Let's focus. Let go of everything that's whatever that is. Let go of everything so we can be present here. Close your eyes. Take a deep breath in through the nose, feeling that lung all the way full, all the way full. Then holding the top just for a moment and then releasing out the mouth. Let it go. Same thing one more time. All the way full, all the way full. Holding at the top and then letting go. All the way out, empty that lung. One more time. Just feeling centered and grounded into this space. Calling our guides and loved ones to join us, to be with us, to help spread this beautiful knowledge and awareness that we carry within us. And here we are.
Well, kinda needed that.
Right? It's so funny. It's like we're running all day, and then stop.
It's crazy. Like, seriously, that second deep breath, my back popped. I was like, "Oof, all right, I have arrived. I'm in my body now. Thank you."
That's the best feeling. Those one that when your back pops and it's not intentional, it just kind of happens. You're like, okay, I accept. I accept.
I receive. So, speaking of receiving,
Yes.
I'm excited about this topic of conversation today. So, you and I have both had past life regressions, which is fascinating. But some of our listeners may not even know what, like, the whole concept of past lives may be way beyond what they've comprehended up to this point. So, how would you speak about past lives from a broad perspective? Because I know that there's a lot of beliefs around.
Yeah. Yeah. I really think that, well, for me personally, like I didn't believe in past lives and just till a couple years ago. So I really didn't understand it. And the way I was raised was very, this is your life. When you die, we're done and we get to go to heaven or wherever, right? So the whole concept kind of came to me in meditation, and starting to actually have visions of these places that I didn't know where they were coming from. It felt really familiar, like home, but it wasn't anything I recognized. But then also I got to go way back to when I was like a toddler, actually. I guess when I was young, my mom would always do something or try to help me with something, and I would always say, "My other mother did it different than you do." And that's kinda, it was always kinda like a funny story in our family, like, my I had another mom that my mom didn't know about and. But so it goes way back for me, and but that's just a one piece, and then I started my paranormal work, and I started, to understand that there's spirits and there's activity, and so because before paranormal work, I just thought that when we died, we die. And like it's game over. And I think a lot of people feel that, especially a lot of people that leave a religion, and they leave a religion, then it's like, all right, if I'm not religious, I'm an atheist. And it's like there's a middle ground there, that a lot of people I think skip over. And I know that because that's what happened to me. But because I did that, that generated a lot of fear around death, a lot of fear around like my purpose and my worth. And so So then, yeah, fast forward to me starting these meditations and visions, my darkness retreat. I had other visions, but just things that when these visions happened, it was just like a home feeling, like I'm home. But again, not familiar in this world, and so I just started to like really start to accept that there's other versions of me. There's other things that not just like believing in ghosts now and believing that ghosts are real. It's that we reincarnate. We come back over and over again. And after I learned about that and I had these visions, I'm like, what is like, I really want to know more. And then that's when I heard about past life regression. And so that's how I found out about it. And this is a funny story. So I had known I was going to find a past life regression specialist, and I had actually been working with our friends Aaron and Tony, and Jenny and myself. We were a part of this thing called Sound Soul and Magic, and so we'd actually gone to the Pride Parade that Saturday to promote Sound Soul and Magic. And I had this big gong, and I'm out there on the sidewalk gonging it away and just like passing out flyers, letting everybody know what we're doing. And, like, out of, like now you gotta like, put yourself in a space, like, there's thousands of people, like, and we're at the front gates, and people are just cruising by, right? This woman just comes straight up to me, like, walks up to me and grabs me by the shoulder. She's like, "I don't know why I need to tell you this, but I'm a past life regression specialist, and we need to work together." And I was just
Wow.
like, "Okay," but I kinda know also at this point, that's how the universe works. If you call for it and you need it, it will come to you. But the way she came to me, and then it ended up being that it was her sister and her that did the regression, and it was just they were learning how to do it. And I went out to their home out in South Jordan and just kind of got relaxed. They had this huge like love sack and sat me into it, and then they go through the process. And after I was done, it was, I had witnessed my higher self for the first time, and, it was amazing. It was, yeah, beyond crazy because it like, how I explain it to people, it's the like, I was speaking, and I could consciously hear myself speaking, but I had an accent that I couldn't pin. Like, the way I spoke was a different pace, a different accent, but it was me physically, verbally speaking, but it was like I was channeling my higher self through me. And so I always found that very interesting. But if you think about it, if we have all these multiple lives, of course we're going to have some type of accent in some kind of way. Because why wouldn't you? And so I always thought that was kind of interesting. Um, but
How
yeah,
long ago was that?
that would have been that was about a year and a half ago.
Wow, really? So it's pretty recent for you.
Yeah,
That's
like I said, yeah, learning about reincarnation, it's been like it's a real hard pill to swallow, I think, once you've been told your whole life that like it's almost reincarnation for me almost seemed kind of silly. Like, oh, that's kind of cute and that's fun that we just keep coming back. Like it never resonated for whatever reason when I was younger. But
that's interesting. I didn't grow up in a super religious household. My mom was a little bit of a hippie, so I can credit her a little bit for my openness, I would say, to exploring new things. But I remember in high school, I went on a bit of a like religious quest because I was trying to find something that felt true to me. And so, like, every weekend for months, I explored different religions, right? And my family was very Catholic. I was attending a Christian church and I went like all over the place, right? I went to a Buddhist temple, I went to a Jewish synagogue, I went to an LDS temple. Like I went to all these different things trying to just find something that felt true for me. And in the end, I ended up just taking a little bit of everything because
yeah,
I feel like everyone has to find their own truth, right? But I was always kind of open to the idea of reincarnation. Like souls made sense to me. I don't know if I come back out as a cat or something like that. Like people joke about that, right? But I was always
yeah,
open to the concept. And just like you, I feel like the universe calls us, right? If I feel called or if I feel pulled to something that has completely been out of my purview until now. I just have learned to try to trust that and follow it to see where it goes. But it's interesting. Have you seen Everything Everywhere All at Once? Have you seen
Oh
this
yeah,
movie?
that's amazing. Yeah, such a fun show.
It is so fun and it's crazy. But I remember my husband and I watching this for the first time and that scene where they come back as rocks. Oh my god. Oh, and the hot dog finger stuff. I can't.
So
It's
funny,
so like
right?
so stupid.
I can't see I can't see Jamie Lee Curtis now without imagining her hot dog hands. It's so weird. Like, have you seen her? She's redoing the dance now from I don't know what it was even from. Was that Flashdance? But she was doing it with Jimmy Kimmel, like now, present day. And so, anyways.
That's amazing. That's amazing. I
Oh
love
yes, yeah, great show.
that scene where they come back as rocks though. Like I distinctly remember my husband like losing his mind. He's like, I didn't even think we could come back as a rock. Like, how long do I have to live as a rock and just like be still? And it was lovely because even just that panic moment, right, opens up this whole line of questioning of like, what if? And so, like, right now, I really just want to anchor in for all of our listeners. This is not us telling you, yes, for sure, there are past lives. No, there's definitely not. This is just playful curiosity. Ask yourself if this is true, what would that look like for me? And what does that bring up inside of me? I mean, that's the whole podcast, right?
Yeah.
How do we find peace with every potential possibility and anchor in what feels true for us?
Yeah, and you just have to allow that awareness to happen, right? And that's all you're doing. You're just allowing yourself to be aware of something. It doesn't mean you have to believe in it, but being aware of something doesn't mean that takes away any of its value or the other way, right? It doesn't make it any more valuable. It's just there, and your awareness to it is all we're trying to bring.
Exactly. So
Because
I'm like curious what percentage of listeners like believe in this or don't, or what question like there's no proof. Let's be honest. Like there's no proof except for the personal experiences that a lot of us have had in
right,
psych experiences like past life regression, like meditation, like journeying with plant medicine, all those different things. So tell us about so you had your first one a year and a half ago.
right. And then just a couple months ago, our friend Aaron has started doing the same practice, and yeah, so we did it at the studio, um, and with Aaron's first one, it was we were just kind of being very broad, um, and I can get into details on that later, but meaning that we're just gonna go in for it. We have no real. We're just gonna go into past lives and see what's going on. And you go in, and it's kind of like you get yourself into like a meditative state, right? Really comfortable, really relaxed. You're usually laying down. Um, I like to be blindfolded. I want to have as much taken away from me sensory wise as I can. But and you sink in this beautiful meditation, and then you just really kind of just shut off your thinking mind, meaning that I'm just going to allow whatever comes into my mind. I'm just going to speak it, even if it sounds silly, even if it feels wrong. Um, if my intuition's saying, well, say it, and don't hold back. And I think that's where this practice, it really teaches you like to really trust your intuition, trust like that little voice in the back of your head, because that's what you're tapping into is that little voice in the back of your head. And so once you get into that space, it's almost like you're transferring out of this dimension or this realm into another space. Like you're kind of leaving, just like an astral projection. But with it being guided, it's just very gentle. And the way Aaron did it, it guided me into one of my past lives where I was like a farmer. And I was alone. There wasn't much to it other than I was just kind of watching myself farm, but I was a very humble, simple farmer. And like there was nothing very grand in it. But again, even though it wasn't like spectacular, like story wise, what I felt was this connection to this person I was witnessing in the vision that I knew was me in some way or form. So in some form or another, and like a lot of this work, it's really hard to explain. because it's such a feeling. It's such like this knowing that you have inside you. And it's a lot like with my paranormal work. I'm like, the coolest thing I have with my paranormal work is when people get that aha moment and they get that awareness to, oh, this isn't the way I was told. This is something different. Now I'm going to pay a little bit more attention to it. And it's kind of the same with this stuff. It kind of just like you have to like really let go of what you think you know and just trust your intuition, trust that voice in the back of your head. And with Erin, she will start to generate questions that kind of take you down a path of like what are you looking for? What like were you married? Did you have a family? And mine were my first one is very simple. And I'm almost having like a little bit of a hard time remembering my first one with Erin. But I remember like we got done and it just reassures you more. For me, it reassured me more that it's not just one life, it's not just one space, it's multiple spaces. And then you start to think about like the multiverse, and I think that's what's kind of fun about this stuff, right? Like, yeah, because that's what happens. You like dig into one hole, and then you see that that hole's not a hole, that's a cave, and then you got to go explore it. And then you get lost. Yeah, there's so much stuff that happens with this kind of thing, and with the passive regression, I want to just really dive into the fact that it's such a connection. It's like meditating, but this different level. It's a different space. But it's almost like you're in that veil. You know, when they talk about like the veil, it's almost like you're in that energy. And for whatever reason, like in the veil, and like my mind keeps talking about my near death experience. There's a lot of similarities in that space. So when I died, there was like again, it's the same. It's these feelings that you have of euphoria, um, but it's the same type of energy, and it's the same type of feeling when you're in this past life regression space. Um, and it's just such a connection, but it's like, and it's cool because it's not a connection like you would think outside yourself, but it's very much within yourself. And then that just compounds even further down the line. Like you're just connecting with all these other versions of yourself that have ultimately collectively made up who you are right now. And once you start to recognize that, it's just, you start to realize that there's so much more. There's so much more to understand. There's so much more to learn. Not only but with myself, but then you think, okay, once I figure out everything that's going on in here, you pull it out, and then everybody else around me, they've got to catch up and do the same thing. And it's like us as a society, we've got to like figure out that we got to put down these guards and really trust our intuition and let go and just know that when we do these things that magic is real. Like magic comes from a place. And I think a lot of the stuff we do, it's what we find is that magic within it. And that connection. Um, but yeah, I want to hear about your first time with Aaron.
Ooh. Yeah, I also had a session with Erin. It's probably been about 6 months, I would guess. Maybe not quite, but somewhere around there. And it was very much this, like, this pull. Like, "Oh, this is something I need to look into, so I don't know why, I don't know what to expect out of it, but, and you had talked about doing yours, like, very soon after I was called to do it, and I was like, "Well, there we go, there's my connection." And I didn't even realize it was Erin at the time when I got done.
That's funny.
And I was like, "Oh, yes, I'm familiar with you." And it was lovely. Just like you said, she at this time, she had her sound bed, and, oh,
Yeah, I did that one on my session yesterday.
that is next level drop in, can I just tell you?
Yeah.
Y'all not experienced any kind of sound bed before, do it, because
Yeah.
so this really helped to get me, like you said, out of your head, into your body, and just kind of open to go into the ether, right? Let me go into that in between space and be open to receiving. And she does do such a lovely job of kind of guiding your experience to be open to just say what you see, unfiltered, no judgment. Don't try to make it anything that it isn't, but just like see where it flows. And of course, I try to go in without expectation, but you go in with a little. Like, if I think past life regression, like, oh my gosh, was I a Viking? Did I used to live in a jungle? Like, what? I'm expecting like past life regressionist, right? And it was very recent. It felt very recent.
Yeah.
And it was fantastic. Like you, I'm having a little I can remember well, no, I can remember quite a few details, and she walked me through my lifespan in this life, and I started young. I had lost my parents, and then I was, like, hyper focused on work and not relationships, and then fast forward, and I have 2 children, and I don't think I was married. I don't remember if I was married or not. But then, like, fast forward and I'm an old woman with my children and my grandchildren and my great-grandchildren, and it was just this whole, like, of life, these tiny little moments, and they weren't most of them weren't anything huge, right?
Right.
Home and realizing I'm alone in my home for the first time without my parents, that's, like, a big moment, right? But another moment was me just, like, peacefully sitting in my sunroom, painting, the kids playing in the background, like, nothing crazy. But like you said, it was anchoring in
Right.
this feeling that you experience throughout your life, and what I came to learn is I feel like what these past life regressions really offer is that insight of the work you've done up to now and what you brought into you with to this life that you might still be working on and like maybe what you can let go of because that's not serving you anymore. But the most exciting part of it for me was you get to this space, right, where you're going through your life and then she switches over and she guides a conversation with your highest self. And I remember I went in with a bunch of questions because she encourages you to do that, and I was like, "Ooh, what do I wanna ask?" And that was fun in and of itself, but I remember after the reading, coming out of it, and for weeks afterwards, I could not remember any part of the conversation with my highest self. I remembered all the detail of my past life, but once she, like, switched over, it was like my consciousness was gone, and I was a like you said, I was aware that I was speaking. But it's fascinating listening back to the recording. It's my voice, but it's not me. Like, it doesn't
Yep.
sound like me. I didn't have an accent, that would be really cool if I did. But there was, like, a calmness. There was just, like, a
Yeah. Like the speech pattern changes.
yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, it really does. And it was fascinating some of the answers that were given, and, I think when you're in this work long enough, it's like reading cards. You kind of already know what card's probably gonna pop up for you.
Right.
Like, there's a lot of things that were already back here. They're like, "Yeah, that's probably true." But lots of beautiful validation and direction that was given, and it was a really cool experience to have. I will say though, something that popped up for me as I was reflecting back on this was the timing of things almost didn't quite make sense to me, right? And but I'll be honest, I'm not really great with the decades and like the timeline thing. I'm not really great at placing those. But it felt like it had a '50s vibe to it when I launched in as a young well, preteen maybe I would say I was.
Yeah.
And I'm like, "Okay, do the math. If I live this, like, really long life and I'm, like, an old woman, like, that's, like, now. That's, like, even future to now." So, then I got to thinking, what if this is, like, multi-dimension, multiverse, like,
Parallel life.
parallel thank you, that was the word I was looking for. And then you go down a whole wormhole there, like you said, like, what's what?
Right.
And regardless of, like, what's true, if it's a past life, it's a multidimensional life, it really doesn't matter. At the end of
Right.
the day, I feel like we tap into an experience that our soul is having and communicating with us through, and I received so much from it. But it does open up a whole other
Yeah. It's a slippery slope. Definitely a slippery slope. Yeah.
so that's me.
Yeah. That's awesome. Like, and it's and like I really want to stress to everybody that's listening, like it's that connection piece, and only you can feel it. Like I can sit here and try to explain it to you, but until you've experienced it, and I look you in the eye, then you go, oh, okay, now I get it. You get it. Like there's this connection that happens. Um, so I went and visited Aaron yesterday, actually,
I'm
also. So this is just brand new. So it's fresh, 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 fresh. So
so excited.
and so me and Aaron were talking a couple weeks ago, and we were talking about I want to go And because of the visions I've had in my Vipassana meditation and in the darkness retreat, I really wanted to go to my last past life, the one specifically. So, because when you first go in, the idea is just get an overview of kind of what's going on, how many past lives did you had, this is your higher self. This one we wanted to, this one we wanted to go directly to the last past life. And so she had a new technique and a new delivery system on how to sync me in and get me going. And I too lay down the sound bed and oh yeah, it's amazing. They're the best. I have a sound bed at the studio too that we use. And it's like sound beds. If you get the chance to experience a sound bed, it just takes the work out of dropping in. And I know that sounds kind of silly, but sometimes dropping in can be so hard because our brains just won't stop. And so sound beds really kind of just it's like a little like a massage from the universe. Like this
It puts your whole being into your body. Like, you're not thinking, you're just experiencing the vibration.
yeah. Amazing.
Then you're
It's
outside of yourself really fast.
it's awesome. So Aaron started in and we started going in and it was kind of funny because I went back to that farmer again. That same farmer that I got in the first one. And so I'm like, oh, okay. And it was kind of the same thing, kind of like, huh, this is weird. And it was kind of like everything was on repeat. And so she started asking my questions that I'd written down. And it was like I was teleported, like just kind of like, um, but it was like like I was riding in a hot air balloon, but I wasn't in a hot air balloon. Like, so it was really gentle, but it was an ascension. And I rose up and the more I think about it, I'm trying to like how to describe it, but Gardens of Galaxy 2, when Kurt Russell's character has that like egg shaped looking spaceship, take that and flip it so it's like an egg, right? So it comes down like this, and then it kind of went up into a cone, but it had like architecture, like straight lines at the top. And I was just sitting in this like cone, but it was a place where my soul went to receive. So if I wanted to receive any kind of information, this is where I was supposed to go. And it was visually in my mind. So first of all, just so everybody know, I'm not a visual person. I'm very much energetic feeler. So for me to have visions and for me to visualize something, it's pretty amazing to me because I do it doesn't normally happen to me that often. And so, but it was so pristine. It was almost like a celestial room. Like some people might be aware of that term. It just had that type of energy to it. So very peaceful, very quiet, very calming. But but yeah, so our, the past life regression led me into this space. And this space was exactly that. It was a space for me to receive all the information, almost like a super highway. So then we started like figuring out, well, how do we, and then we started asking, well, how do we get out of this room and how do we get into this room? Because we just kind of like transcended into this room. And it was kind of the same thing. And it was like, where do you want to go? That was like what came up. And I'm like, I want to go to my last past life. And it was like instantly, I'm on this bridge that's like this mahogany, beautiful wood, like beautiful bridge. But it's like it's really narrow where I'm at. But then at the end, it kind of just like widens out into a reality. That's how I'm gonna say it. And with my intention in my mind at that point on the bridge in this past life regression meditation state, I could consciously say, where do I want to go? And the bridge would move. Like I would be anchored here, but then the bridge on the other end, I would watch it move and it would go to where you wanted to go. And so it dropped us down in. And then once like I wanted to be there in my mind, I'm like, all right, I want to be there. It just like reality just all the way around me until the bridge was gone. And then I was in that space. So it was like this like rainbow bridge or like kind of like Thor's bridge, I guess. Very much like that. But again, it was like this mahogany wood. And that was cool. And then we went into that past life and it was a lot of the same. So that version of me was a very simple, humble man, like whatever that is. And so, but that what was cool about this session is it was like I was talking to Aaron about it. And like when the first session, it was like I was talking through myself. And I was receiving the information from somebody else. And this was like a direct message to myself from myself, if that makes sense. So it's just a direction flow. And that's kind of what it felt like to me. It's like, all right, I need to know about these specific places and these specific abilities so that for whatever reason down the road. And so it was almost like a complete different experience because it was more informational. But it almost gave me the ability to go, okay, now in my mind, I know that I have a place that I can physically go to rest and recover. And I have a place that I can physically go to whenever I want, that I can go anywhere I want. And I think so what's cool about that is because before it's like I've always had that like, all right, where do I start and how do I get there? Like that takes that out of the equation for every single journey that I'm about to go on in this spiritual world. And I think to have those anchors in a spiritual space like felt really good to me. And it's like, all right, for whatever reason, I needed to have that. Um, so and it was surprising, right? Because it wasn't like a past life. It's like I got tools so that I could access my past life in a more proficient way. So we're really excited to do it again. Aaron's working on a couple of things also that we're going to do like a group of people and actually do a past life regression as a group. She has some ideas. And so we're
Wow.
really trying to like figure that out and like just really understand what all this magic is, right? It's like with my paranormal stuff, there's so many questions and there's so many rabbit holes and there's so much more to know and understand. But that's what's cool about having the community that we have is because we get to do this stuff and we get to learn more and explore more. And yeah, the past life stuff, it totally has me. I'm a 100% believer in reincarnation now. Like
Mhm.
I don't think it could be any other way. I don't, it just doesn't, it'd be weird if this was just it. And it's kind of funny because like it's a total 360, or 180, 180. It's a total 180. Yeah. So but it's again, it's just allowing it in, right? It's allowing that magic and allowing like Reiki was like that for me. Like, what's Reiki? That sounds like something out of a Star Wars movie.
Mm.
Well, it is. It is. It's the exact same thing.
Yeah.
It's the force. It's the same, you
I
know?
feel like it's like the avatar theory or the video game theory. Have you heard of this?
Oh yeah.
I mean, that's reincarnation, right?
Yeah,
We're just
100%.
we finished this level or, "Oh, we died, let's start over."
Yep.
The whole kinda thing, and you have missions when you're playing the game, right? Our soul comes down here with an intention, lessons to be learned, experiences to have, and then you get to level up and do another one,
Yep.
over and over and over again until what end, I don't know. But it all makes sense. Like, it just as wild and crazy as it sounds, it also just makes sense.
Yeah.
It makes
And it's
sense
that.
to more than it doesn't make sense.
Yeah, and it's in the heart and in the gut. Like the knowing, it's like it's a body thing. Like you're energetically like, and that's why it's so interesting to connect with it. And that's why it's so interesting that this is a possibility, right? Like we are like a radio, we are like a television antenna. We can transmit and receive so much information. And these kind of things are like that's exactly what it is. You're just tying into that energy so that you can really understand who you are, right? There's a lot of things that I think are really kind of funny too, like mannerisms. Like,
Yeah.
so my real dad, his name's Ronald Reagan. No relation to the president, but
Is
he,
it really? That's his real name? That's
his name
amazing.
is, yeah. And, but he my mom, he was never in my life. He left right when I was a baby. But my mom, as I grew older, she always thought it was so interesting that I would act like him. I would have his mannerisms and his and it's kind of funny that that processes through our genes. Well, what else is there? What else do we carry with us, and what else pulls through? And what I'm finding is there's a lot of times I try to label something and it doesn't really feel right. And then I go, let me rephrase that. Maybe I need to label this not for this version of Jerry, but a past version of Jerry. And a lot of times it'll be like this. Oh, okay. There it is. It's not in this lifetime, it's somewhere else. It's something in my past, whether that's my genetic past or whether that's my spiritual past. There's something there that connects me to it and makes me feel a little bit more whole because of the connection. And I think that's why a lot of people these days they have so much ADHD, they have so much like this that everybody just wants to connect and they're trying to connect outside themselves. And really, it's just us inside really just trying to connect with who we really are and who, like, what moves this avatar, right? What makes this thing work? And our work, what we do is just exactly that, to help you connect to that energy, connect to that past life, connect to, even if it's genetically, right? Like there's things that we're so connected to that there's power and there's energy in it. And the more you can understand it and the more you can pull it into your mind, the more awareness you have, the better decisions you make, the more you'll manifest. Like it kind of just like a snowball down a mountain. Like it's a beautiful thing. And yeah, the more we can learn about who we are, man,
Yeah.
give me more.
So here's a fun conversation to go down. So we talked about the idea of reincarnation in multiple lives in human form.
Hmm.
What have you thought about outside of human form? Animal, tree, rock, mountain, etc. Have you put any thought into that?
I don't know, yeah. So I'm laughing because I can't believe I didn't even say anything until now. So at the last Vipassana, this is my last Vipassana and then my session I had with Aaron yesterday. So my last Vipassana, like on like the fourth day, I had two visions this Vipassana, but the second vision was it was like I was looking and these visions are so real. These visions are like you're there, eh, and I can't explain it. It's not like a dream. Like a dream feels like you're watching a show, and a vision is like you're actually in the scene. And there, I see these like two giant dog creatures. They're not from this earth by any means. So I'm on another planet. There's these two like dog-like creatures, and then as I kind of like I'm watching, they're like getting their hair done or something. Like there's these groomers grooming them, and then I walk around them, and then these two entities, like two aliens, like walk up to me. They're like no other alien I've ever seen before, as in the ancient aliens. I watch a lot of that, so I'm really familiar with like a lot of the ones that they say exist.
Mhm.
These are totally different. Like they look like something more out of Star Wars, more like I don't even know how to explain it, but very beautiful, very vibrant, very colorful. That's another thing too in visions. Like the color for me is like vibrant, so vibrant.
Yeah.
And so, so I had these two aliens that were just looking at me and just processing, and all they were doing is sending me love, sending me love, sending me love, sending me love. There were no words, but I felt so connected to them. But again, because there were no words, I was still curious. I was kind of left like, all right, now what do I do with this? Why did I have a vision of these? Well, number one, two dog aliens, and then two real aliens like walking up to me and having this like mind conversation with me. And so so fast forward to yesterday, and we're going in, and I'm like, I want to know, like, what's up? Who are these aliens? Like, what are they? And so we did some numbers thing. She asked, like, how many past lives have you had? 14. That was what we got. So I've had 14 past lives. Of those 14, only 11 of them was I in a human. So that means three of them I'm something else. And so we have a really strong feeling that those aliens were like that's what I was witnessing. Was when I was in that form. That's what I was seeing. So that's what happened yesterday is we got the 14 to 11. And so I'm like, all right. So that kind of made me think about like the rock, right? Can we reincarnate into a rock? Because what about residual energy? Because in paranormal work, residual energy is very true, very like realistic. And so, yeah, like what can we reincarnate it to? And I think the answer is any form, any living form. But then what's your definition of living?
Mhm.
So right. So I think it's very possible. I mean, it's kind of funny. Like you look at our puppies, right, and our dogs and our little fur babies, and we're like, how could they not have a soul? Right? How can they not have some type? And it's really interesting because like our newer dog Marty, we've had him for a year now, but we got him after our dog Zoe passed. And Zoe passed 2 months after Marty was born. but like the similarities that Marty has. So and after Zoe died, we said we would love another dog like Zoe, but we also kind of want a cat. Marty is Zoe and a cat, like totally mixed, 100%. Like you look in his eyes and it's Zoe, and like like I have my pyramid as he walks in, he hears me talking about him, and like we have this little thing on the. I'll just show you. I'll see. I wonder if he'll do it. So there's like a little slinky thing that's on here, and like he goes crazy for it. So funny. See if I can show you. Yeah, it's like a little kitty.
Here.
He's so funny. So I think like I'm glad he's like, I need to be on TV, but I'm gonna be on the podcast. But he's like but I think there's so much of their little spirit and the energy. And the only thing that was confusing about the fact that did my dog Zoe reincarnate into Marty? And then I go, I think a little bit of her did is my best way to answer that. I think because Marty was already born. So how would that transfer? Because you would think that they can't both be living, can they? Because that wouldn't make sense for reincarnation. But then think about what you were talking about earlier, where like the timelines didn't match up. So yeah, see the rabbit holes we create.
Right? Well, then, have you heard of the whole concept too of like soul stand-ins? Like there are souls that are like, this is just too much. I can't do it. I need to check out. Insert another soul.
Yeah,
Like
I
the
think
same
they're
with
called. I think they're called walk-ins.
walk-ins. Thank you. That's what it's called.
Yeah,
Yeah, there's that whole theory.
yeah. So there's so much more to where our souls go and like that's why I love to study consciousness. Like consciousness is like one of the great mysteries of the human body. Any doctor, anybody in like the medical degree would tell you that we don't understand the consciousness at all, like
Yeah.
barely at all. And I think it's because there's supposed to be mystery, and there's supposed to be a little bit of mystery. But yeah, I think I think our energy can exist in all things. I think that's like when when we go to a very special place or a building, we feel that spirit, we feel that energy. And I think you'll find that spirit and energy sometimes can be synonymous. They're kind of the same thing. And I think they can bleed into each other. And I think why wouldn't they be able to? I try to like guess like, it shouldn't be that big of a deal for them to just share, right? Because what happens when we go to sleep? Where do we go when we dream?
Seriously, the rabbit holes in this conversation are never ending. But yes, yes,
Yeah,
yes. And then you can go down this direction, right? Of especially like within all indigenous cultures, right? Is this belief of the sacredness of nature, of the consciousness of nature, of that presence, like the soul of nature, right?
right.
Tell me you have never just laid your hand on a tree and felt the energy of that, the wisdom, the ancientness, the love that comes from just sitting with a tree.
Yeah,
And it's fascinating to think about, like, okay, if we are incarnating into non-human form, like maybe not even like non-interactive form, if you will. If I'm a tree, like, what is the point of that? Right. But then, like, think about being a tree. Like, it excites me so much. Like, the
yeah,
timing of it, my human brain like wants to freak out a little bit, but my soul is like, you learn patience, you learn steadiness, and you get to be like, I imagine myself like a giant willow tree, right? That like all the neighborhood kids want to like come and climb on and have their first kiss on and carve their
right.
own into, and just to bear witness to the world around you, where your sole purpose is to be the observer and to
Right.
space. How beautiful is that?
Right. And then I love the fact too, like if you're like a tree, like the mycelium and like how that's connected,
Yes.
like that's connected to everything. So you think of like, right, like and I think that's why when we go in nature, I think that's why it feels so good. I think when we're in nature, we all get that. Oh, but I think it's because energetically we're connecting to this living planet that's really like a ball of energy, a ball of all of our collective energy, because we're all grounding into it.
Mm.
So, so yeah, yeah,
Well, then you ask yourself, or I ask myself, right? Because again, we're going down rabbit holes now. So if this is all true, hey, if our soul gets to have like all these experiences and all these different forms, is it a progression, right? Like, do you need to have these non-human forms first before you can dive into a human experience,
Ooh.
or vice versa, right?
Or is that like a lot? Is it like a lottery up in heaven? All right, you're gonna be a rock. You're gonna be a tree. You're gonna be a puppy.
I feel like I can't remember. No, yeah, I feel like it's a combination of different concepts that I've heard between like Carol and Miss and Journey of Souls and Sacred Contracts and all of these things. I personally feel very anchored into the idea of soul family and feeling like we decide what we want to come into this life to learn and which life is going to serve that lesson best. And how that comes to be, I mean, human control is a thing, right? We get to kind of guide that. Um, I just lost my thought. Did you
No,
see
you're
me?
good.
And I just left.
Yeah,
But it's fascinating to think about we came into this life to learn a specific lesson. Is this the life that's going to serve me best? And I don't think that I think we agree to it, but I feel like there's all this input from the soul family.
oh yeah,
Right? Like, okay, if this is the lesson you wanna choose, this is the life that's gonna be best for you. These are all the roles that we'll play for one another to help ourselves and each other to learn these lessons. So, anytime I'm having a hard time in life, and that since I've anchored in this concept, right? It's this idea of like, "You chose this. Remember, you chose this. How is it meant to serve you? How is it meant to serve you?"
yeah,
And that's been really helpful for me to kinda soften and stop, like, fighting and trying to grasp onto control. Um, but yeah, even if you chose to be a rock, like, why the hell would I choose to be a rock and
yeah.
learn patience, I guess? I don't know.
Well, and if time's a loop, right? And time just like I got time. Why wouldn't I be? Why
Yeah.
wouldn't I want it? Why wouldn't I want to experience anything? I want to be a volcano. I want to be a wave. I want to be an ocean. Like, whatever. Um, yeah. So many rabbit holes. So many rabbit holes.
We could talk for hours, probably, I hit all the rabbit holes, but we digress.
Yeah. Yeah, we love it. And that's what's cool is like there's just so many because of those rabbit holes, like you start to really know who you are. Each little piece kind of gets back to you. It's like
Mhm.
we have this ego mind that we come into when we're born almost that like, oh, I know what I'm doing and I know where I'm going. And no, we don't. And it's like
And
and
really, it's just with this conversation alone, neither of us have any idea what the truth actually is, but it's fun to explore.
it's so great to explore, and then when you start to have it's those little moments. Like people ask me all the time, like, "What do you love about being a paranormal investigator?" And it's like I like being a paranormal investigator like 1% of the time because the rest of the time is really boring. It's like a lot of like setup. It's a lot of reviewing video. Like you know how many hours and hours and days of listening to audio recorders I've done. Like to find like a little clip, right? And then every time I have paranormal evidence, it's like 6 seconds. So, but those 6 seconds are the stuff that we're talking about. It's this amazing thing that changes your perspective to give you back a little bit more of who you really are. And so, the more you can find out who you are, the more you can find out really what that mystery is about where you come from, why we're here, what happens when we die. All those answers like you can find and it's like there's no one answer, right? There's a whole world around us that give us all the clues to lead up to whatever that is. And so that's why it's so fun to dig into like our astrology, to dig into our human design, digging into our life cycle numbers, like all these little cute clues that kind of like really build up who we are and what we're about. And it's kind of, and when I say magic, that we're magic, it's just because when you really start to add up all those little things and then you start to associate and go, man, they actually have there's a lot of truth in what that's saying I am. And it's not 100%, but I think I do want to make one point about astrology. I think people need to understand that with astrology, we're every sign.
Mm,
We're every sign. It's just a part of us that like might be more like we happen to be born on a certain day, but that doesn't mean you have all the elements of every other astrological sign. It's just that's the what you landed on.
yeah.
It's like playing roulette. And that's like, but it doesn't mean that you're not everything else. And so I love that it can be a guide for you, but also know that it's a giant universal map for every soul on this planet. And so you're going to be on that map somewhere, but also know that you have elements from everything else. Um, because I think a lot of people get stuck like, oh, I'm a Leo, so that's how I am. And it's, and it's that's true, but also, you know, you're also an Aquarius.
Yeah. Also, I feel like, especially with astrology, and this might be a whole other podcast, but I feel like, yes, this is my sun sign. This is my like dominant sign. This is where I was born under. However, based on how all of the stars, moons, planets were aligned on the night I was born, like everything still existed. They were just pulling me in different directions based on that timeline. So yes, I am still influenced by every single sign
Right.
different ways. And so that's where the beauty of astrology comes in because it helps me to know, okay, where is my Leo side? Where is my Virgo side? Where's my Pisces side? And how can I work with those influences in a way that serves my highest good based on my astrological chart?
It's easy. It's so easy.
People don't study this for decades or anything. You can just learn it tomorrow. There's an app for that somewhere, I'm sure.
Lifetimes, lifetimes. That's what's funny. Yeah,
um Back on track with our fast life regression topic. There's some TV show and I'm not going to remember the name of it. I want to say it's on Hulu or something. I saw it ages ago. And it's a whole series dedicated to children who remember their past lives and who like legitimately put it to the test.
yeah,
That it is fascinating for any skeptics out there. Just like do a little research and I mean, you can just deny, yeah, that's cool, whatever floats your boat and serves your purpose in the moment, no judgment. However, I really encourage people to just open up to the possibility. Like, and if
yeah.
what does that mean? Like, how does that change how you navigate the world? I'm gonna pose that question to you, Jerry, especially since you didn't really believe in it at all prior.
Yeah, yeah.
That belief change the way you navigate the world, or does it at all?
Um, I think it does. I think it does. I think it definitely changes the way you navigate, and the fact that you have more awareness to what's going on. Yeah, I think my brain might like that too.
I put you on the spot. I was not prepared with questions.
No, you're good. You're good. Yeah. Hold on. Reframe that one.
So you didn't used to believe in past life regression. And now that that's something that is undeniable to you, do you feel like it's changed the way that you live your life?
Yeah. Yeah.
And
It. Yeah. It definitely does because I don't. It took away the stress. I have to figure it all out now. Right. Like if I don't figure it all out this lifetime. Right. And also too for me like because I've had 3 near death experiences. And it's like after the third one, had I just kind of like I was at a point where I was done. Like I was like, and I was like 40, I think 42. And like I was done. I was like, the doctors told me I have a chance of dying. I was ready to move on. And so I had to really put everything down and let go and just trust that that I'm in the right space. And now that I know that it really pulls away that fear. Like that fear dissipates the more I accept the fact that this is just part of my journey this lifetime. And knowing that this lifetime is just one leg of that journey, I don't feel so like I don't need to go and be the world of the president of the world, right? I don't need to, like, I don't have that pressure, whereas I did before, where I feel like I've got to get everything done now. And I really learned that, and that really hit home when we started doing these Vipassana meditations. Because the way that Buddha understood it is, um, because Buddha goes back, or Vipassana goes all the way back to Buddha's original. That's how he got his enlightenment was through Vipassana meditation, and it took him multiple lifetimes in order to be a master at the Vipassana practice. And so, and I think it goes with like a lot of things, like with Reiki, right? It takes a while to understand it, and are we really a master of it? And what does that really mean? And to know that I don't have to master everything in this life, because like sitting in like the Vipassana meditation stuff is hard. Like you would think it's really easy just to sit and meditate and be quiet and not talk, and that's so simple. It's super hard, and I think that knowing that I'm gonna be able to have multiple lifetimes to get it figured out just takes like, it makes me go, "Okay, I can take things a lot bigger." And I think when you're talking about a spiritual world too, it can be really overwhelming. It can be very like, "Oh my gosh, I gotta be good 100% of the time, every single day, and I've gotta, like" there's so many of those little rules to where if you can back out and zoom out and know that it's a whole progress and it's multiple lifetimes, it makes you feel so more connected, so much more connected, and then also not alone. Like, I'm like, the word alone is kind of funny. Like, as I like more and more I go down this road, like, it's so impossible. The only way you could be alone is if you're out in the middle of space and just dropped with nothing around you. Like, but if you're on this planet, like, you're never alone. There's so much life around us. There's so much energy around us. There's so much that wants to contribute to your journey in this lifetime that yeah, you just got to bear witness to it and just trust that it's going to like take you where you need to go. So it's definitely changed like my perspective. It's given me a whole bunch more value as far as like how I feel. And more value for me as like this little soul, this Jerry guy in here. Whereas before it seemed like a lot of things were really outside myself. And this type of practice and doing these things really, it really gives you the chance to really know who you are in this busy crazy world that's just always go go go. um yeah, it just, I would just say, yeah, trust that, give yourself the permission to slow down. It doesn't all have to be completed now. Because yeah, before it's just, yeah, it was just such an interesting experience.
Yeah. I mean, it sounds like it definitely relieved some of the pressure for you. And I love that you spoke to that because I feel like especially nowadays in society and school, like we're asking kids at a very young age, what do you want to be when you grow up? And like you're married to that, you know? That's a lot of pressure.
Yeah.
My kid's in 7th grade and they already took like career aptitude tests and like what is going to be the best path for you? And I'm like, girl, you can change your mind. You can do whatever you want. And
Yeah.
I feel like for me, this awareness of multiple lives, past lives, future lives, for me, it poses the question of how can I honor the life I've chosen today? Relieving the pressure to need to be anything other than who I am now, and also giving myself permission to explore the possibilities. Trying not to be married to any one thing, but explore what feels good today. What feels good today, human? How are we gonna live this life today? And I feel like at the end, I'm hopefully gonna look back on it and have it filled with beautiful experiences with people.
Right. Yeah.
That's enough.
And that's the whole point.
Yeah.
That's why we're here.
Yeah. Well, that feels good. Does that feel complete
Yeah.
to you, Jerry?
Feels great. Feels so good.
So good. Well, thank you. Thank you for chatting it up with me today. This was a fun conversation. I love to
Yeah.
contemplate the many possibilities, and hopefully, listeners, you do as well. So thank you for joining us. We'll be back again next week. Thank you for listening. Share if you feel so inclined. And as always, if you need any additional support, please don't hesitate to reach out to us. Until next time, love you. Bye.
See you guys. Be happy.